All right, everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to cover all the different ways you could optimize your service business online. So whether you're a contractor, agency, a restaurant, a hair salon, or any other type of service business, there's different ways clients will interact with you. And in this video, we're going to explain a little bit of the whole procedure of how the client's going to come to interact with your business, convert, and then purchase from you. So let me just jump right into here. We have the flow of how the clients interact with your business. So first thing people are going to do is they're going to notice your business. And the way they can notice it is from one of these various ways. I'm going to go into them in depth a little bit later. Then you have the ways people can inform themselves. So they can inform themselves through online reputation, seeing your online reputation. They can see your website or they can see your content that you post. Then when they've informed themselves, or maybe they just noticed you and they contact you directly, but most of the time they're going to inform themselves first. Then they're going to contact you. And when they contact you, then you have different ways they could contact you. And then from those ways, there's different automations and processes you could set in place to increase the likelihood that from when they contact you, they purchase you, to increase the chances of that sequence happening. And then after that, when they purchase you, you have your different services, your different offers that you have at your business. And then from there, then you have when the client receives their service, you have your onboarding, your post delivery. This is going to be, depending on the type of industry you're in, the type of business you are in, some of these might not apply, some of these can apply, some of these might all apply. So let's say for a hair salon, you might not have an onboarding service or an in-depth onboarding service, but if you're selling, let's say, websites, then you might have one of these going on. And then after that, you have the side, the side elements to it, which would be online paid advertising, which basically is getting leads to notice your business. So same thing as this blue section here, but just from a different angle, from a paid angle. And then you have the offer improvement. So improving what you actually offer, or at least the perception of your offer to potential clients to increase the chances they actually end up contacting you. So basically this whole flow, in this video, we're going to cover how all these aspects kind of work in together and how improving one aspect and improving the other has exponential effects on your business. So how that could lead your business to grow much more. This covers probably, I would say 99%. I'm going to say 95% just to stay reasonable, but 95% of what's possible right now in the market that we have. So let's jump right into first. We're going to go into how to get leads to notice your business. So let's jump into it here. So you have a few ways. You have review sites. So that's your Google My Business, which for local service businesses is probably the most important asset that you guys have. Then you have the other sites, the Yelps, the Trustpilots, the Better Business Bureaus, TripAdvisor, and other sites. Basically, this is where people are going to find you. So if somebody is searching for your service organically, they might be looking for, let's say, hair salon. Well, they might say hair salon in a certain region, and they're going to look at the Google My Business reviews because they want to check you out first before even diving deep, before even getting to the point where they're going to inform themselves about you. They're just curious about the whole market. So they're going to see you on here. They might, they trust Trustpilot, let's say. They might see you on Trustpilot. So having a profile and an optimized profile on all of these platforms makes it so you increase the chances that person is going to see you. And when they see you, they're going to either contact you directly or increase the chances that they inform themselves. So I'm just going to reiterate this quick just to make it understand clearer. Basically, you want the most amount of people to notice you. And then from those most amount of people that notice you, you want the most amount of them to inform themselves in a way that increases the chance they contact you. So you want the most amount of people to see you, then the most amount of people to contact you. And then from those people contact you, the most amount of them to purchase from you. And that's how that funnel works. And then the more optimized every single aspect of that is, the more your business has a chance of ranking higher, selling more, making more revenue, making more sales, and so on and so forth. And the whole ball of progress that happens there. So let's get back into it here. And by the way, here I have, as you can see, these are YouTube channels. These are YouTube recommendation channels for this type of content to learn more in depth. We have our own channel, Vizions Digital, which is the business I represent. And then we have, that I own. And then we have, let's say, White Spark and this other gentleman here. And then we also have our 12 trainings. So 12 trainings, we have some on Google My Business optimization, review optimization, search engine optimization, and so on. So if you want to access those, they're going to be for free, link to the description below. And if you want to access this whole Miro board and all the other optimization, we have a link for that also below. That's a paid product, or else you can have our free trainings here and use those instead. So let's get back into it here. So we have review sites. That's number one. Then number two, you have search engine results. So that means getting higher on Google, Bing, and the other types of search engines. The major ones are going to be Google and Bing. I believe Bing is at something like 6% of traffic is on Bing. So it would be important for your business, especially if you're trying to optimize those last little elements, to upload your sitemap to Bing, not just Google, and optimize yourself in a way that Bing rewards it too. So in the trainings, if ever you download the trainings, they go in depth on how to set these things up, or what possibilities there is. So in Google SEO, you have your front end SEO. So that's basically optimizing all your content on your website, having your keywords, your H1 tags, your URLs, optimize your snippets, domains, and so on. Then the backend SEO, so basically how you communicate with Google. So communicating with Google what your website is, what it does, what type of people should visit this website. So that increases the chances that you rank higher. So your four pages, your 3-on-1 redirects, your SL certificates, and so on and so forth. Then you have your link building SEO. So basically getting your website being, let's say, the place of real estate, getting other traffic sources, other roads leading to your website, which increases then the authority of your website on Google's eyes, and then allows you to rank higher. So once again, these are complex topics, but if ever you see these videos here, these channels here, you could use these to get some recommendations, some tips, as well as download our trainings and get some information there. So those are the 3 important ones for Google SEO. And then for Bing SEO, your sitemap upload and some slight variations from Google, which once again, they're discussed in here. Then the third way to get people to notice your business is social media. So social media, there's many ways to skin the cat, I guess the expression would be, but the main thing is, I would say, for most service businesses, because in most cases, you're not going to want to do content that is, a 10 out of 10 content, unless you're trying to do a national business. If you're just local and you're trying to just get your community on board, you basically want to post content that just makes you appear that you're alive. Because if your business hasn't posted content, let's say in 2 years, on Instagram, on Facebook, and so on, just every time people go to visit you and they see you or they notice you, they notice you and they don't. The authority isn't there because it's been 2 years you haven't posted. It looks bad. It doesn't encourage people to contact you. They might think your business is closed, and so on and so forth. So for social media, that's the thing. I would say the number one thing is just to post consistently, and then after that you have all the optimization. So you optimize all your profiles, your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, your YouTube. You could optimize your content. Have different variations of your content, educational content. You have user-generated content, testimonial content, which seems to work best for service businesses, vibe content, engaging content, so on. I don't have trainings on how to specifically do content well, because it's such a varying thing, so it's tough to box in. But there's so many things you could do for social media. They're a great way to get some more traffic. Then after that, we have the maps. So once again, Google My Business, the reason why it shows up again and again, even shows up here in directories, is just it's one of the most important assets there is, because it's a map, it's a directory, and it's a review site. So it's all 3 in 1. So you Google My Business, how to optimize it, title, description, images, getting more reviews, multi-location, Google posts, and so on. Then you have your other maps. So this is something that's not well known, I would say, is that you can actually create a profile on most of the other maps. So your Apple Maps, Bing Places for Business, even Waze Maps, you could actually pin your business on Waze Maps. So if you're at your location, you could pin it. Then you have MapQuest and all the other maps. So this is just another way, an extra way for people to find you. So if they're looking for your service, let's say they're saying hair salon, but they're writing it on their Apple Maps, then you have a higher likelihood of showing up, because most of these websites are going to use your Google My Business and integrate it into their own platform. But in most cases, I think you have to build them yourself. So if you build them yourself, then you have a higher chance of people actually seeing you. So this is a way to optimize it there. Then you have your directories. So directories meaning, again, Google My Business, but your Yelp, your Yellow Pages, your review sites, but also other stuff like Manta, Angie, Foursquare, other directories, and the ones that are dependent to your location. So maybe you have one that's governmental, maybe you have one that's, local community directory, you have something going on, a tourist directory that's in your area, and you want to make sure you're there also to increase the likelihood that you actually get people to your business. Then after that, another way to get people to notice your business is referrals. So that's asking for referrals, partnerships, so partnering with people that give you referrals. So not necessarily a referral, but more like let's say a partnership. And then joint ventures, maybe joining with another business that complements your business to get referrals, to get traffic back and forth between the two businesses. So an example here for asking for referrals is you could ask your old clients, continually asking clients that are in your current base, asking for people to say, hey, can you bring a friend? Can you do that? Different strategies, more in-depth strategies, but this is just the overall look of it. You can ask your community, so you go on your Facebook groups, a bunch of Facebook groups in your local area, and you just post that you're looking for more business, you're looking to do more work, and people are very happy to help the local community. Asking your social circle, your friends, your family, asking online friends, even if it's just Facebook people you haven't spoken to in a while, you can send them a DM. Asking email list depends on how much your reputation matters, but you can basically hassle everyone you want. Then you have affiliate programs, private affiliate programs, public affiliate programs. These are more for online service businesses, I would say, because it's a little tougher to have these programs locally. But this is something that can be interesting to get referrals to your business. So then partnerships, I'm not going to go too in depth in there. Same thing for joint ventures. Then you have outreach. So this, I would say, in a sense, outreach is kind of like paid advertising, in the sense that it's not that they come to you, as you kind of go to them and so on, but this is not a direct paid, because you can do this manually. You don't have to pay someone to do it, but it would be cold DMs, online communities. Once again, but on the online communities, maybe you post on them. So if you go on Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, school communities, local governmental or online groups, even some miscellaneous ones like Discord groups, Slack channels, and whatever other type of groups you might find. So you can literally sign up to all of them, have a profile on all of them, and just, every week maybe send a message out, respond to those groups depending on what type of business you have. Cold email seems to be the best for service businesses because you can automate it. So the easiest part of it is that it's expensive to set up at the beginning. It's annoying to set up. It's difficult to set up, and it breaks a lot. But what happens is that when it is set up and it is rolling and you have some recurring revenue from that, it's a very linear growth. You do more cold emails, you get more money. It's very, how could I say this? It's very hard to set up, but easy to maintain, basically. So this is one thing to consider for your service business, especially one that serves online, that serves more than just its local area. Then you have the other things like cold calls, classic cold text, voicemail drops. So this is another interesting one. Instead of doing cold calls, just send them voicemail drops. You could automate this with software. So instead of having to pick up the phone, you just get people who answer you back, maybe because they missed your call, send them a voicemail, and then that's it. And another way to get some leads to notice your business is past customers. So maybe through your newsletter, you're getting people through your newsletter and keep messaging them and offering them different things you're offering your new customer bases. Maybe even asking for referrals there. And then you have your infinity flows. So this is something which I have videos on this channel, on this other channel, actually, Vizions Digital, the channel, about how to set up these automations. They're pretty easy to set up. Maybe you have like a 10 email flow sequence that every month you would email these people back. So instead of a newsletter where it's more, newsletter is more educational, and then infinity flow would mean more precise to the offers. So let's say every month you would say, hey, look, we have this new, let's say you're an agency. You say, hey, look, we just started doing AI chatbots. I wonder if there's something that can interest you. Here's a link to our booking calendar. So there you go. So that infinity. So every month you're offering them something. Maybe it's partnerships, maybe it's affiliate links, maybe it's always something to get them engaged with you and keep them in the ecosystem and purchasing from you. So a way to capture more revenue is through past customers. And then some miscellaneous strategies. We're not going to go depth in these, but online promotions, so podcasts, all the other type of ways you could do it. In real life promotions. So branding all your stuff, your trucks, your business, having pamphlets. Then in real life advertising, television, radios, billboards, newsletters, newspapers, so on. So many ways you could do it, but these videos are going to be more focused on the ones you could do online. So that's pretty much it here for how to get leads to notice your business. Now, how do you get them to inform themselves in a way that increases conversion? So basically, like I mentioned before, you want the most amount of people to notice you. So this by having a profile on all of these, by being optimized on all of these and being active on all of these, you increase the chances, obviously, by a lot of people noticing your business. And then when they notice you, what you want is you want to increase the chances that they actually end up contacting you. So When they notice you, they're either going to contact you directly, which in that case, perfect, but or else they're going to go check you out. And if what it means to check you out, they're going to see, are you trustworthy? So they're going to see your reviews. They're going to see, are you going to do what you say you're going to do? So they're going to check out your website. They're going to inform themselves. And then same thing with the content. They're going to see, okay, do other people trust this? Do other people engage with this? Do other people, it's a whole checking thing. They're trying to make sure, okay, I'm not going to get screwed over if I deal with this business because they have, 300 reviews. They have a bunch of people posting for them and their website looks modern and a la mode, So that's the gist of it. But if you go into the depths of it, you go here, you want to increase the amount of reviews you have. The more reviews you have, the better. Whether it's just on your main profile, you Google My Business or your Facebook, and on your website, even if you have 100 reviews on your website, it looks better than if you have 10. If you have also the quality of your reviews, so the way you have the reviews, so if you have them so basically the hierarchy goes like this. Text reviews are at the bottom, image reviews are here, and then video reviews are the best. So somebody selfie style saying, hey, I love this product, or yada, yada. And I would say even the better one is influencer reviews. So if you have an influencer, somebody who's known in your local market or in your industry in general, that has a positive opinion about you, that's even better than just a random person giving you a video. But him doing that as a video or her doing that as a video is better than any other form. So you have the quantity and you have the quality. You have 1,000 reviews. If you have 1,000 video reviews, your business is legitimate. Like there's no questioning it at that point. You have 1,000 reviews on Google. You have it on your website. You have a bunch of video testimonials. Like people do not have an issue with trusting you. Now it's just a question of is it a right fit for them? So you want to deal with those objections beforehand, before actually getting on a call or getting them to the business. So that's that there. So little strategies here, asking all the clients. You can ask your old clients, you can ask new clients, you could, miscellaneous strategies, implement lower ticket services. So maybe you could get some reviews. This is a nice little tip here. So let's say if you're a roofing company and usually your services are $30,000 for repairing a roof. Well, maybe you do, gutter cleaning or something like that, like a smaller service or shoveling snow off roofs. That service might be a $200 service, but it means you also get a review. So a review you could get, for the amount of work you've done, you could do, 10 of those jobs a day. And those 10 jobs get you 10 reviews. Well, now you get 10 reviews compared to your competitor who's only doing those big roofs, who's only getting 1 review per day, let's say, or per week because of those jobs. So you could exponentially get more reviews, right? Exponentially is not the right word, but you could get a lot more reviews for the same, in that industry compared to your competitors because you're offering a service that's lower ticket. So Google doesn't discriminate. Facebook doesn't discriminate between a review of somebody who spent $30,000 with you or someone who spent $200. So in that sense, you could manipulate another way. You could use it to your advantage to have more reviews on Google My Business and appear like a more trustworthy business just because of that. So review asking tools, and there's ways to automate this. You have tap cards. You could these cards that you could have. People tap with their phone and they get to the Google My Business page directly. So instead of you having to send an email and say, hey, can you give me a review, whatever, you could do it there on the spot. So let's say your hair salon, they finish the haircut, you have your little thing there. You say, hey, do you mind giving us a review? They tap with their phone and boom, they give you a review. Like it just eases the process. There's many tools to do it, but this is just the gist of it. Then review quality, like mentioned before, the type of review, the videos over the images and the images over the text. So also you want to ask them in a way to get the best reviews. So obviously this is where you don't want to manipulate people. You don't want to be deceitful, but at the same time, you want to have the best reviews in your business. So the way I would say is that you could do 2 things. So first one is a review as template. So a way to structure it in the sense that's like, okay, I do this after let's say they receive the service, after they're happy, after I make sure that they're happy about the service, I've confirmed that, then I ask them for the review. Because if you ask them for a review when they still might be negative about the service, then obviously you might get a bad review. So you want to just make sure that the client is satisfied, that the client is happy with your service, then you ask them for a review. And then second thing you could do is a bad review filter. So basically this is a trick that's a little bit more sneaky, I would say, is that you put a review out. So let's say somebody has a service with you, they get their haircut, and you send them an email. In that email, they're going to click on that link to leave your review. That link is going to lead them to a form, like a landing page. That landing page is going to ask them to review you 1 to 5. If they press 5, then you redirect them to Google My Business. If they press 4, maybe you redirect them to Google My Business as well. But if they press 3 stars of 5, you redirect them to a form. or you redirect them to a contact form, like a contact information, so that they contact you to fix the issue. So instead of them directly you sending them a link directly to Google My Business, you send them that link to the landing page, so you can filter out a little bit of those bad reviews by helping your clients before they leave a review. So you could just make sure that, okay, they weren't satisfied with this, I could fix this, and then maybe ask them for a review after, or at least I'll just be able to fix this and make the client happy. So that's a strategy there. Now, for review distribution, once again, review distribution is important, because if you have just reviews on Google My Business, but that person doesn't trust Google My Business reviews for whatever reason, they think they're fake, or they don't even check those, they're going to check you on Trustpilot. But maybe they check you on Trustpilot, you only have 2 reviews. So that person in their mind is thinking, okay, this business only has 2 reviews. But that's not true. You have maybe 500 on Google My Business, but you have 2 on Trustpilot. So you want to use the biggest platforms you have, maybe in your local market. Like, you might know, if you're online, that's different, but in your local market, you might know that, okay, people use a lot Yelp, because it's have a business that's very touristy. So if you were using Yelp for information, I should get or TripAdvisor, I should get reviews on that, because that is the primary place where people check out the reviews. So depending on what your top 3 or your top 5 is, you could always ask people to leave you 2 reviews. You can ask people to leave you a review on Google My Business and Trustpilot. There's no wrongdoing in there. They're giving you the same opinion, but just twice. It's not like they're giving you 2 reviews on Google, they're just giving you 1 separate. So this is another important thing to keep in mind. Then after that, when the lead informs themselves before they contact you, you want to optimize also your website, because most people are going to come to your website. So if they're going to see you, whether it's search engines, so meaning Google, or where they see your content, whether they see you on directories, they're going to probably or most likely end up on your website. And what does your website have to do to optimize? Well, it has to be structured in a way that gives them structured and designed in a way that gives them all the information possible, and also all the authority or trust building values possible, so that the person could see you and notice, okay, they have what I want, they do what I want, I could trust that they'll do what I want, I could do it for the price that I want, let's say, or the time efficiency that I want. So the offer is good, and plus I could trust them. So if those 2 are the most important factors to keep in mind when you optimize your website. Then you have the details of it, making your buttons bigger, making your call to actions, colors stand out from the background, maybe having a shadow, a border, an animation, all these little variations, having, your numbers written out. Instead of just call us, you have your number written out, so people can actually, let's say they're on desktop, instead of clicking on the button on their computer, they could actually just take out their phone and type out the number. So, these different optimizations to try to get you 2%, 5%, 10%, 20% here and there to optimize your conversion rate. But main principle would be that to trust, give out the most trust, and handle basically every objection they might have. So inform them the most possible. So that's that. And you have, so that's website structure, website speed, website design. And then you have your website speed. So the thing is with website speed is that the faster your website, the higher your conversion rate is. The reason being is that, let's say maybe your internet is good and the websites load fast, but maybe some people have average internet. Well, if your website is loading at 2 seconds for load page, maybe on their computer it's loading in 5 seconds. So if it's loading in 5 seconds, that's 5 seconds of people in a blank screen. Most people are going to quit that page. They might think it's not working. They might not come back. So conversion rate of websites is I don't know if it's 100% correlated, but it's very highly correlated with the speed of your website. I'm going to see here. I think I have the statistics here. Yeah, there you go. So there's a bunch of graphs on this. So the stats are, what's difficult about marketing is that all the stats here are not super precise, but this is just a good idea to give you here that between a 0 to 1 second page speed loading time, conversion rate, let's say it's 32%. You go from 1 to 2, it drops down to 20%. You go from 2 to 3, it drops down to 13, and so on and so forth. Now there's peculiarities here, but just in general, the trend is downwards, and not just downwards. So let's say if your website, you go check on Google Page Insights, Google Page Speed Insights, you could check how fast your website is loading. And if you notice, let's say that you're loading in 4 seconds, well, already you could get a 3x in conversion rate just by speeding up your website. You don't change your design, you don't change your structure, your offer, your pricing, your nothing. You just speed it up 3 times faster. You just make it under 1 second, and you got yourself, 20% more conversions in this case, or 3 times more conversions. So little improvements like this can have exponential results, just by optimizing these type of things. So these are the 3 pillars I would say for websites, how to optimize them. And then you have your content. So people are going to see your content to see, okay, do a lot of people engage with this content? So how many likes you have, how many followers you have, how many comments, and so on. Then how trustworthy is it? Like how much business have they done in the past? So you can share that in your content. You could share. So here you go, testimonials. You can share user generated content. Share people using your content. You have content with influencers. So that shows people, okay, well, even people that are high in status, you could say, are using this product or using this service. So that means that I could use it and not be, I'm not as scared to use it now because I have this person that I look up to use it as well. Vibe content to try to engage people in a more emotional way, and some more engaging content, maybe even, education/engaging content. So all the different ways to optimize your content so that when a lead informs themselves by looking at your Instagram, they see it, they notice, okay, this business is trustworthy and this is something that's actually I'm getting engaged with. I want to engage with this business and I want to deal with them. And then they're going to contact you in most cases. So optimizing all these aspects makes it pretty, if you optimize all these aspects to its maximum capacity, then you pretty much have a good idea of how many people would convert. So optimizing this could get your conversion rate, let's say on your website, from a 5% to a 10%, your online reputation giving you an extra boost of 2%, and so on and so forth. So all these elements might not be a direct correlation, but indirectly, people, going on your website, then checking Google My Business, then checking your Yelp, then checking your content, well, that person now has a higher likelihood of actually contacting you. So it's not sometimes it's a straight line, sometimes it's horizontal, but in most cases, it increases the likelihood they contact you. So that's pretty much that for this. Then for when the lead contacts you. So when the lead contacts you, depending on the type of business you have, you might get inquiries, you might get appointments, so people booking on your calendar, booking an appointment for a quote or something, and then you get walk-ins. So walk-ins we're not going to talk about because this is about optimizing your service business online. You might have a local service business that has walk-ins, but this relates more to how to optimize it online. So here you have, let's say, your inquiries. So let's go into inquiries here. So people might text you, they might email you, they might DM you, they might call you, or they might fill out a form. There's probably other little ways they could contact you, but these are the main ones. And what do you want to keep in mind for inquiries or even appointments is you want to get in touch with them within 5 minutes of them contacting you. 5 minutes is just a rule of thumb. Basically, in theory, you want to answer them back the second after they answer. So they text you, they text you in 1 second, you want to send them back a text. The reason why is you can see, let's say in this graph, and once again, these statistics are not, how can I say, these are not significant to the point where we could just rely on these, but it's just an interesting graph to see how much of a conversion rate effect it has to answer back a lead slower and slower and slower. So really answering in that 5 minute mark seems to be the peak conversion rate for that. And the reason being is, it makes sense, is that if you're contacting a business, say I'm somebody looking for a roofer, and I'm on Google and I see the first person, and maybe it's your business, and I contact you, and I fill out the form, and maybe even I give you a call, and you don't answer me back. Okay, so I close the phone. What do? I don't just wait for you to give me a call. I go to the second guy. I call them. If that guy doesn't answer, I go to the third guy. I call them, or maybe I text them. So the first person who answers me back is a lot more likely to get me as business because they were there, they were sharp, they were answering. Now, if you can't do this because your team is insufficient or whatever, you don't want to do that, there's ways to automate this. So we have it in our automations training. We explain a little bit how to do this. Now, there's a lot of softwares coming out, a lot of different tools coming out to help achieve this principle. But in a sense, you could automate your text with AI chatbots. You could automate your responses. So instead of just having a chatbot, you have automated responses for somebody says, hey, I'm looking to redo my roof. Say, okay, perfect. Like automated response. Okay, perfect. What's your information? We'll keep, we'll get it back in touch with you, whatever. So different ways to do that. Same thing for the email, same thing for the DMs, same things for your calls. Even there's AI secretaries now that you could build ways to teach them even how to speak like you. So you can even teach them to speak like you so that when they answer the phone, the person can ask questions and get answers back. You can have a missed call text back. This is an important feature that most businesses don't have. But let's say your business's running hours is from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock p.m. Well, during those outside times, people are going to be calling, nobody's going to be answering them. So instead of just getting a call, that person giving a call and not getting any answer, you could, when you finish the call and they hang up, the call's not received, you send them a text. So if you miss the call, you send them a text, and that text says, hey, sorry we missed your call, we're closed, whatever, at 5, but we'll answer you back tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. or something like that. It just keeps them engaged more and more. And the reason why you want to optimize all these things is that the more you engage clients here, the more you can make sure you converse with them to about your service and what you do and that you'll help them, the higher likelihood they're actually going to purchase from you. So basically, once again, I'm going to reiterate again and again, but just to make it clear, the point clear is that you want the most amount of people to notice you, and the most amount of people notice you to trust you, basically. And then from there, the most amount of them to actually end up purchasing from you. So contacting to purchase. This is what you could do here. And then the one that probably has the most opportunities to play with is when people fill out a form, because they give you a lot more information. So if they're asking for a quote, maybe a request quote, well, when they finish that quote on your website, you could ask them, you could redirect them to a thank you page. When they're on that thank you page, you give them more information, maybe reviews about your business, maybe more statistics about your business, more information that they might need, or you could even upsell them on different offers so that they add that to the quote request. So let's say if they're getting a quote for landscaping, where it's okay, we also do, we also wash windows. Would you like us to quote you for that as well? They say yes. Now you just increase your average order value. So thank you pages is a nice little asset to play with here. And then same thing again, like the other ones, you have the automatic responses. And then same thing here, contact request, somebody requests to contact you, you have a thank you page, and that thank you page reviews, upsells, or so on, automatic responses, and even an AI chatbot to communicate with them and answer their questions before they even get on the call. So it could warm up your leads, but it could also satisfy your leads to the point that they could just purchase directly from dealing with these AI chatbots, which would be ideal. Then you have the other form of people contacting you, which is going to be appointments. So that's going to be consultations, assessments / inspections, sales and demos. So once again, comes out pretty much the same principles, but you've got your thank you page. So people book an appointment with you for consultation. You have a thank you page, and you should have some appointment reminders. This is something that might take you 10 minutes to set up, and depending if you have your email set up correctly, but you could take you 10 minutes to set up, not cost you that much, and you just remind them of appointments. I would say, I think I have the, no, here, but they're in the training. So if ever you're in the training, you're going to see the actual structure that we use. But let's say somebody books a call, you can send them an email reminder 24 hours before, send them an email reminder 3 hours before the call, 1 hour before the call, and depending on the type of call you have, maybe 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes before. And that increases the likelihood they actually show up to the appointment, because people may forget. People might not want to show up. In any case, they're not going to show up. But if they wanted to show up and they just forgot, they had something else going on, that keeps reminding them and increase the chance to actually show up. Because if your show up rate goes from 30% to 40%, well, you just got a 10% increase in the revenue. Basically, if all the rest doesn't change, bottom of the funnel doesn't change, you got a 10% increase in revenue just because you send them 3 emails. So the math there makes sense. If you want to set these things up, they're very easy to set up. And then same thing after that, you could do a warm-up flow. So not only do you have an appointment reminder flow, but you have a warm-up flow that says, hey, whatever type of business you have, but it'll be, okay, we're excited to talk to you. Here's some extra information that might be interesting for you, or here's some lead magnets, or here's some extra bonus for you. And what that does is that engages with the person so that they remind themselves of the appointment as well, but also gives them more value so that they actually feel like, okay, this person taking care of me already. Like, I'm going to show up to this appointment. There might be something good at this appointment. Like, it's worth it that I do it already. Already what they gave me these emails is already worth it for me. So I'll show up. So basically, he's just giving gifts in a way that's very genuine, just saying, hey, look, here's all these things. We'd like you to show up to your appointment. So that's it there. And then after that, this is going to be the same thing for basically every single one. And then after what you have is you have your post-consultation flows. So maybe after the consultation or after the assessment or inspection or sales demo, you might have, somebody with a positive response. Well, maybe you have a flow of emails sent to them if they had a positive response. If they have a negative response, then maybe you have an objection handling flow that's automatically sent. Obviously, you want to do these manually, especially the type of business you are. It depends on the type of business you are and your capacity, but most likely you want to do these manually. But if you can't, you automate these. And never get a response, okay, boom, you give them this flow. I'll think about it, you give them this flow. No response, I'll give them this flow. Infinity flow, also there's an interesting one for every single one of these. If the person stops answering you, well, you can send them on an infinity flow. And basically what it is, it acts as like a newsletter, where you're going to send them an email maybe every 30 days or every 60 days, every 90 days. Just keeps them in a loop. Just keeps them reminding of your service, because maybe that day your service didn't make sense for them. and that's okay. Maybe for their business that day didn't make sense, but maybe 90 days from now it makes sense. Maybe 100 days from now, maybe 2,000 days from now, who knows? So if you keep them in the flow, and these, they don't cost too much to set up, and they don't cost too much to run. Obviously, you're gonna have to do your calculations to see how much it's worth it for you to keep emailing all these people. But if you have, like a list of, like 1,000 clients that ended up not answering you back, you send them all the same email, you might get 1% of those to call you back. Well, that's perfect. You just capture 1% of leads that were considered lost. So same thing, same principle for all of these. And then walk-ins, like I mentioned, I'm not going to talk about them. That's why there's not much information, but there's ways to optimize these for sure. Then after that, so when the person's contacted you, then they made a decision to purchase from you. What you have is you have your different offers and your different services. In most cases, in your business, probably they're set, your services are set, but there's always ways to capture revenue from the sides. So you have commissions. So these are your main services, let's say. You have your main services, then you have probably your upsells. So a high ticket service or a recurring service or something that you could sell them that increases the average order value, and actually it's a higher sale. So maybe you have like a ladder going up in terms of the expensiveness of your services and the quality of your services. You have some downsells, so you can sell them a low ticket service, a low ticket offer, a low ticket product, a digital product. You can sell them, like a PDF or whatever type of informational product you can sell them as well. So maybe, your average order value is $1,000 because of this landscaping, but people like, let's say a certain spray. We can sell them this little spray that they spray on their grass and it makes it greener, and they should do it every day or whatever, whatever type of, I don't know the details of the industry, but it could be something like this as a downsell. So you sell them an extra, $30 here, $40 there. It always makes money. And then cross sells, so maybe complementary services. So I'll give the example of the grass cutting again. If you have your grass cutting business, maybe you also do window cleaning. So if I'm going to sell you on the grass cutting, I'll say, hey, look, I'm here. At this point, you want me to clean your windows? It's going to be, $100 off. Okay, perfect. Do it. Boom. So you got your services there that all blended together, and then you could maximize the amount of sales you make to that one client. Then you got your commissions. So depending on the type of structures you have in your business, you can have referral commissions. So people referring, so from complementary businesses, people referring you business. So I'll give you an example of this business I worked with where they did flat roofs. So they were doing flat roofs, elastomeric roofing, and they didn't do shingles much. So tilted roofs, they didn't do much. Well, they had a business that does a lot of shingles, and they had a friend that had a business that does a lot of shingles, and they were doing the flat roofs. So whenever the person with the shingles had those flat roofs, they would refer to the flat roof, and then when the flat roof would have a shingle referral, they would refer to the shingle. So you get to both to what you're best at, and it would make sense most for your business. And then the client is happy because they're getting referred from a trusted source. So those are ways to play around with that. You can have some white label services where, let's say, like you're an agency and you're a good web designer, while you work with another agency that's a web designer agency, but they don't have time to do all their work. Well, you're white label. Basically, you're an employee, but not an employee working for them, and under their name, you're doing their websites. So different ways to do it there. Affiliate commissions. This again is going to be tougher for businesses that are local, but you could always set these up. Private affiliate programs, people just referring you. Maybe you have somebody. I give you an example in a local market. Maybe you're in a very touristy area and you have a restaurant and you have Airbnb hosts. Well, you can say to those Airbnb hosts that or whatever, say, hey, look, if somebody comes to my restaurant from your Airbnb, I'll give them 10% off. So I'll know who it is. And then you get 10% of that, as commission or whatever. So that works both ways. So you could go as an Airbnb host, you could go to these restaurants and say, look, I want to promote someone more than somebody else. Can we work out a commission deal, and so on and so forth. So you can set these up like this. Then you got some partnerships. So if you have a business, a little bit like we were talking before with the grass cutting and the window cleaning, but if you have a business that's, let's say, a window cleaner, well, if I'm going for the grass, I could say, hey, look, I have a friend I have a buddy that does this. Would you like your windows cleaned as well? Okay, perfect. We'll do that. Same thing if you're an agency. If you're a web design agency, you can say, look, we did the web design. It's optimized for conversion rate. Would you like to start doing Google Ads? We have a Google Ads agency we worked with. And now that the landing page is optimized, it could be good for you to set this up, blah, blah, blah. all the type of ways you can set these up. Then after that, you have your products. So digital products, maybe some ebooks, some trainings. This is going to work more for online specific service businesses because it's going to be mostly info products. But then if you could also do physical products, so in your store, you could sell some stuff. If you're a hair salon, you can sell products. If you're a restaurant, you could sell, canteen food. You could sell food that's stored for a long time. You should have it on the shelf there and people might buy it. You can have an e-commerce store that's related to your business, Amazon FBA, Amazon FBM. And then you might have some education that you're selling. So a little bit like the info products, a little bit more like the info products here, like digital products there, but more, how could you say, more concise, more structured. So let's say a course, maybe you have trainings. Let's say again with the grass cutting business, your grass cutting business, you want to teach people how to cut grass properly. Maybe either you teach to other business owners or you teach to individuals who are looking to cut their grass perfectly, and you can do courses on that. And you can sell that. And same thing, your program. So basically personalized training, you're going one-on-one with people and teaching them how to do that. So that's pretty much the ways from when lead purchase from you, they get to have the different services so you can increase your AOV. So basically here I'm going to reiterate it again and again. All right, so I'm going to reiterate the whole thing again just to get back to the principle. So here, people are going to notice you. They notice you. They're going to inform themselves. They inform themselves. They're going to contact you. And when they contact you, they're going to purchase from you. And one of these things they're going to purchase. So whether they purchase a lot, whether they purchase a little, that's going to affect your AOV. So this is the metric here we're going to track. So here's AOV. Here it's going to be the close rate. Here's going to be conversion rate. And here's going to be contact rate, or you could say lead impression to interaction rate. You could say very tough metric to track, but anyways, so that's it there. Now, if you get to the bottom of this, so the client's going to get to the bottom of this. In most cases, you're going to have probably an onboarding service, especially if you're doing a service that's a little bit bigger. And those onboarding flows, you can use them for different things. So number one, you could say, I want to do this flow to reassure the client, to say, hey, look, we did what we said we're going to do. We did it in the time we said we're going to do it, and here are the results, and everything's good and everything's dandy. Then you have your progress flow, so you could do it. While let's say your service is a little bit longer, you could say, hey, look, maybe it's a 5-month SEO service or a 5-month roofing project. You could say, okay, look, this month we're doing this. The next month you say, okay, we've done this. The next month you've done this, and then so on and so forth. And then you could do your results flow. It's basically the same as the reassurance flow. And then post-delivery, after you've delivered the product, you have your initial flows, which could be, obviously these could, it's different for every single business, but the main aspects I would say you want to implement is asking for referrals. So when you've delivered the service to the person, you say, hey, look, do you have any people that you know that might be interested in this product? Can you leave us a review? And also, do you want something else? So basically that's what you want to do with these flows. In the sales training, I have more specific details on how to set these up, and also in the Vizions digital YouTube channel, I have specifics on how to do tutorials on how to set these up within Go High Level at this point. So asking for referrals, asking for reviews, and then upsell, cross sell. You can increase your AOV, increase the reputation you have online, and then increase the amount of clients you get. So that's it there. And then you have your continuous flow. So once again, the infinity flow we mentioned before, just keep contacting them. And then a referral future asks. So you could always, every year you might say, because maybe that day they don't have anybody to refer you to, but maybe a year from now they might, new circumstances, new situations, they might have somebody to recommend you. So that could be interesting there. So that's pretty much it for the overview. In this video, I just want to do an overview of what it is. I'm going to do future videos to explain the details of every single part of these. I've done videos already on the other channel about how to of all the trainings basically. So I've uploaded these already. But if you want something specific, let me know in the comments. I could go over a certain aspect that you guys are more interested in. I'll take that into consideration. If you have anything you disagree with, please let me know in the comments. Something you think I might have wrong, please let me know in the comments. It'd be interesting to update this thing and update it with the public. This is what I found. This is what we found in over 7 years of business. But there's always new things coming up. There's always differences. So that's it here. I'm just going to cover the rest of this whole board if ever you guys are curious to know. So you have here, if I go back up, this is just the before and after, just to show the comparison of if your business is just this, you have your Google My Business, it's not really optimized. You have your website, your Google search results, your SEO is not optimized. Basic social media presence, basically basic of every single aspect we've talked about. Now imagine, how much better it would be if it were optimized for every single aspect. So, it's almost a no-brainer to say that if I were to do this, it would be unreasonable for me to not achieve the results. So that's something here to take into consideration. Here's just a simplified version of it. The different ways people could contact you. It's Google My Business, front-end SEO, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we have the whole funnel. And then here on the side, we have some more information. So we have here additional material. So the checklist. This is something that is, I have a checklist done in the Google Sheets, which is a little bit more complex. It's made with ratios. So how important, how valuable it is compared to the cost. So this is not shown here. This link is just for a visual checklist. But if you want that checklist that's more complex, as well as access to a Smiro board, I have a link in the description below. This is a paid product, but if you want the free one, you have the 12 trainings for free, so you can access those. Are going to be linked as well. So complete checklist. These are all the things you could check off. Makes it easier for you to set all these up. Obviously, this is a long page, but this covers all 12 aspects. This covers the whole thing. So if you're just interested, let's say, in optimizing your front end SEO, well, you go to the trainings, you go to the checklist. Okay, front SEO checklist. I created a list of keywords, rank keywords by value, blah, 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 title tags, optimize them, and so on and so forth. So that's that there. Then we have a terminology table here, and then some software recommendations and tools. If ever you're looking for some softwares to help you do, get more views on Google My Business, get your keywords ranked higher for Google My Business, automations, how to set up some automations. We have a tool called High Level. We have links for all of these. Some of these are affiliate links, some of these are not, but these are links that we believe are probably the best for most businesses. Obviously, some of them, they make us money, so it's tough to not be biased, but in most cases, it's going to be the good one. Then you have some educational content. So we have our own channel here that's linked, but we also have, other people that we find have value. So, Alex Hormozy, Vasco Montero, White Spark, if you're interested, I have a little description of every single one, but I believe they bring us value to the community. So these, this whole training is very tilted or very biased by what they've said. Obviously, this is an agglomeration of everything, not just their thinking, but everybody else's thinking. So anyways, check these guys out. They have some really cool videos. Then after that, how to find employees. Also, if you're looking to get more employees, now we're talking about getting leads and getting customers, but this is a little section of how to get employees. Basically, it's the same principle, but just switched to the employee side. So anyways, a little bit of an explanation there, miscellaneous improvements, all the different things you could do that are kind of oddballs, let's say. Discounts and credits. If you want some credits here, we have links to credits, Google Ads credits or other types of program credits. Then after here, we have, these are probably the most interesting statistics we have. These are the most factual, I would say. So there's this company, White Spark, which I have linked. You can see here, this linked here, White Spark YouTube, but I think I have it linked up here too as well. Anyways, this company, White Spark, they asked a bunch of SEO experts for Google My Business as well as just general SEO, what are the highest ranking factors? So what is the best things you should put your emphasis on if you were to focus on them, to fix, that gets you the best results on SEO? And what they've noticed is all of these things. So here is the rankings of every single one. So Delegate page for each service, internal linking across websites, so on and so forth. So all of these things are all the things that they've optimized and they decide to optimize. And so local Google My Business factors, then you have conversion factors, so what helps your conversion rates, negative ranking factors, GMB suspension factors. So you have all of these here. So if you want to access that, it's going to be all the information is there. So basically, it literally tells you, if you were to take this as a checkbox, you say, okay, I'm going to have a dedicated page for each service. I'm going to have internal linking across the entire website, blah, 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 boom, boom, and I knocked all these out. So you can do that as well. And then on the side here, you have the revenue projections. So if you were to do all these aspects, so let's say if I give you an example here, your business, your current visitors to website, you have 2,000 visitors on your website, and you get from Google My Business, you get 1,005 from search engine results, and you get 600 from media and so on and so forth. You would get, let's say, 4,800 visitors a month to your business online. But imagine you were to optimize all these aspects and get, 20% improvement on all of them. Well, now you've got, you go from those 4,800 visitors here, and you add, let's say, 400 from Google My Business because it's optimized, it's ranking higher. You do more for search engine results, so you rank higher and so on. And you add, and all these little ways, and it could be small ways too, 50 visitors a month, and you get to 6,000. And then imagine you would do it Now for the conversion rate, so improving the appearance of your website online, so your reputation, your website, your content, and you would improve the conversion rate by 3.3%. That's just an example, just to give you an idea, but this is very low in terms of conversion rate improvements. Is extremely low. You can usually get 15%, 30% even conversion rate improvements on most websites. So I'd say it gives you these boosts. Well, now you went from having 4,800 visitors to 6,000, and you went from a conversion rate of, well, in this case 3% to to 3.9%. And what does that do? Well, you went from increase, you got 144 increase, and now you got 234. So imagine, and then I'm not going to go into all of these, but you improve that, then you improve this, you improve your current average order value, you improve your refund rate by having a good onboarding system, and then so on and so forth. And then what that leads you to is, a potential increase in sales and revenue that's exponential. So, you go from here. If I go the example here, you have, if let's say you're making $1 million a year, you're making 25% margins, you're making $250,000 a year, and now you've improved all these aspects. Now you're making this amount of revenue, and you're making $569,000 a year. So it's by 25%, by improving every single aspect, maybe by 10%, you can really get exponential results down the line. So it's just 10% everywhere, but it gets you 100% in the end. So that's it there. Then simple comparisons, if you want to check these out. And then we have a calculator here. So if you access this, you can access to the Google Sheet here, and just makes it as a numbers game. You just enter all your stats, the ones you have, at least the amount of visitors you get, the conversion rate on your website, the amount of leads you get, your close rate on the phone, your close rate on inquiries, your close rate at the salon, your close rate at the restaurant, whatever it might be. And then your AOV, your average order value. And you see, okay, if I were to increase, by I get 1,000 more visitors, 1,200 more visitors. This is what we showed before. How much more money can I get? So, 5-year projection. This is the other thing too. If you think about it as a long-term play, well, in 5 years, how much more? And these are months, by the way. But how much more profit can I make by improving all these aspects? Because these aspects compound on themselves every year as well. So, anyways, this is pretty much it for this video. I'm not going to go too in depth in these things. This video is already long as it is. But once again, to reiterate, if you guys want access to the 12 trainings, they're going to be linked in the description below. If you want access to this Miro board and all the different information that is in this Miro board, you could buy the link. You should go on the link below, and you can buy the product here, so the digital product there. So that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and also let me know in the comments if you're interested in something else. So thank you very much. Bye.